but we have the Smithfield Foods fire, which a government flare burned down a pork processing facility just outside of Milwaukee. And the process of investigating, just going to the scene and seeing the physical damage, sending requests to the government to try to figure out what angle there would be to recover against the military and the Marine Corps for letting the flare off base. You know, it's funny, we sat down at one point, Todd and I, and we were talking about where could we go with the file, and Todd kept saying, well, it's the military, there has to be a written regulation involved. And so it was sending Freedom of Information Act requests, multiple, we probably sent 24 or more to the military looking for that one written regulation that controlled how munitions get off a base and how they protect against those things. And finally we found that one line in the one regulation where we knew we had something that we could pursue. A lot of firms would have closed that file down after a couple months because of how much digging it took to find that one regulation. Well, once we found the one regulation we had, it was all about then going in and gathering and taking the facts from how the loss occurred and putting it together with the regulation. How did our facts and how did that regulation fit with our story and with what we knew happened? It involved a lot of interviewing witnesses, working with local authorities where the fire occurred, and shadowing their criminal investigation into what happened, doing the legal research here and figuring out if that regulation, if we could use that to pursue the claim. You know, a lot of it was just thinking creatively, sitting down, taking a step back from what you expect most lawyers do day to day, and thinking hard about where can we go, what angles are out there, and we need to explore all of them to find out if the case has legs or not. And ultimately, after a lot of brainstorming and interacting with my colleagues here, you know, we came up with a solution and an avenue to pursue. We had to find essentially a written regulation that was violated that allowed the munition to go to get off base. And once we found that, and you know, we found that, and we knew that was going to be our theory years before we filed suit. So we had our strategy together before we even filed the complaint, and so we were that far ahead of the game because we had put the work in at the very onset of the